Hello and welcome back to another episode of East Got Game, where we give you the X's, the O's, and the insights of the NBL1 East. Thanks for joining us tonight live on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And remember, you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at East Got Game. Or you could continue to find our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms. On this week's episode, we'll be covering the elimination finals that were, and get ready for the semi-finals that be. But let's have a look at some of the headlines, though, first. And let's do a quick check-in to see how you're going, Lockie, because it was a big weekend for you.
It was big. It was big insofar as the one game I called was massive. It was Comets versus Sutherland. And don't let the low score fool you. It was a brilliantly entertaining game. It was low scoring because the defenses were on point.
And were you happy with the crowd turnout? It looked like it was a huge event at Alexandria.
It was huge, and it was about a 50-50 split fans-wise as well. So shout out to the Sharkies fans making the trip up. Yeah, it's a big crowd. It was a lot of fun. Everyone was there. Oh boy. Big names in the crowd, but then also all the being the only game in Sydney, all the photographers and videographers got out there. It was had to fight for a spot on the baseline if you were a photographer in this one.
So tell us about the big names that were in the crowd, because I think it was a game you called maybe last year that we reviewed for an episode, and we could spot Anthony Mundine in the crowd sitting next to a guy with a cowboy hat. Those two Cowboys return this time, or
I didn't see the cowboy hat guy, but Anthony Mundine was there, Brian Gorgon was there, Andrew Bogut was there. So some big names, and I think I didn't see him, but I heard Bill Tomlinson was there as well, which would not surprise me in the slightest. It was some definitely big names in the crowd. So, but it was a very big crowd, so there might have been more that I just didn't see.
Geez, who do you think's feeling the pressure there? Do you think it's Coach Sean Roger, or do you think it's the likes of Kawatnoy didn't play, but Spurgeon and alike are feeling the pressure with the Hoops Capital coaching staff watching?
Oh, I think they're all just scouting out. No pressure, no more pressure than you'd have playing in a semi-final with no Kawatnoy on your team.
Where was Kawatnoy, by the way?
Sitting on the bench.
Do we know why?
I just tweaked his ankle a bit in the game against Bankstown. So we'll get back more into that later. But definitely a game of who was not there as much as who was there.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting indeed. As we see, Davo Hickey is off to Asia Cup. So big props to him. But yeah, that sounds like a hell of a weekend, actually. And it looks like there are some other headlines we should mention as well.
Yeah, I think we are. My commentary partner, Will Constantinides, said it best on Saturday night. There's a reason they're called the Center of Excellence, because they're the only club with both their men and their women in the preliminary finals.
Yeah, and this is a turnaround from last year, because the COE women last season had to pull out of the finals from memory. And the COE men, how far did they get? Did they make it to prelims?
I think they might have made it to prelims. But yeah. That was unfortunate last year. Yeah, the COE women. Yes, the COE men made the prelim last year and lost 94-79 to the Maitland Mustangs.
Stangers.
Yes. Wins all round. Center of Excellence just eking it out over the Albury Wodonga Bandits down there at the hideout, 75-73. And the men getting it done 97-88 over the North Bears. So, be very interesting to see how they both go. The COE women now coming up against North at North, and the men having to go to Illawarra.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, we talk about first, second, third. They all finished 15-5, so it's not like it's they finished way behind Illawarra in the regular season. They were right there.
Yeah, that's right. It may be a case of well, I don't think Illawarra are going to have CJ Moran, unfortunately.
No, because he was also over at Asia Cup with Syria.
Yeah, which is great for him. Great for him. Obviously, unfortunate on the timing, but when you get called up for national duties, you've got to take it because those
100%.
FIBA opportunities don't come up all the time. And so, yes, what other headlines have you got for us?
Well, of course, we have to talk about Comet Sutherland, who wasn't there. So for Comets, there was no Bawali Bales, no Dave O'Hickey. Bawali was on one crutch. So he was hobbling around a bit. He wasn't using it all the time, but I'm not sure if that was just because he got excited during the game and stood up not thinking about it. And also no Gotch Mullawal. So they were actually missing 3 starters from that team. And then, no Kawat Noi for the Sharks. Not sure if he could have gone, but in any event, back your team to win and hope he's back to full strength for the game against Canberra down at Tuggies on the weekend. But yeah, I mean, players just it was just players stepping up all over the shop, and Isaac Gundy stepping up for Comets. He played 40 to 45 minutes for the entire season coming into this game, and he got the start and did really well on defense. Committed a few cheap fouls, but I think that's just a product of the defensive intensity he brings. He only had 5 points, but they were using him a little bit when they needed the defense to really be stepping up, and then when they needed the offense to be humming a bit more, Sharif Saipea would check in. That seemed to be how it was running. That especially showed late in the game when they were chasing points. It was Sharif into the game. But I mean, despite the loss, massive shout out to Obi Che in that one. 15 points, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks, and just a menace at the defensive end. He had 4 blocks, and at least 2 of them were in the first quarter, maybe even 3. So we always say with Hickey and Bales out that Che is obviously the next man up, and he put the team on his back for a lot of that game.
Wow. Sounds like a hell of a game. And that's what makes finals time really exciting as well. It's the opportunity for bench players to step up and show what they're made of. And that's why having a strong bench is so important, despite only playing 45 minutes for the whole season. And talk me through what Sutherland was showing.
Sutherland, I mean, they brought Ryan Abbott into the starting lineup with not having Kawat Noi. So I think he's been Ryan Abbott and Taylor Young. They've just been 2 great late season signings. Abbott finished with 10 points, Young with 10 points as well. But I mean, they did their best to throw it away in the third quarter. Comets went on a 17-2 run over the first 7 minutes of the third quarter. And then the Sharks came back. They scored the last 6 points of the third quarter to reel it back in. I think they were down by 13 at one point. So they reeled that back in, got a last-second basket at the end of the third, and then they just ratcheted up the defensive intensity in the fourth. Lachlan Hutchison did Lachlan Hutchison things in the big moment. He was 14 of 16 at the charity stripe as part of his 20. So he was 3 of 16 from the field. That rim protection, I mean, we know Hutch can score the ball from any angle off the glass, and they were making it hard even for a player with his kind of geometric talents. But he just, late in the game, stepped up, hit some clutch threes. They got Spurgeon going a little bit more as the game went on. He finished 7 of 9 from the field. And I mean, the battle between Spurgeon and Sinagoratz was real fun. But yeah, it was just about once they got a bit of momentum back late in the third, early in the fourth, really ratcheted up the defense and just chipped away. And I mean, the fourth quarter was 31-18. I think at one point the fourth quarter score was 26-10. So they really came home with a wet sail, did the Sharkies.
Yeah, the Sharkies tend to turn it on like that during finals time as well. You know, they'll be bobbing along all season and, yeah, really pick their time to strike and attack when it comes finals time. We've seen it the last, I think, 3 seasons.
Well, not so much last season because they missed finals.
True. But the season before when they won, though.
Before that, when they won it, 100%. I mean, we keep talking about them finishing bottom half of the 8. And when you talk to Sutherland players, that's how they feel. They feel like once we're in finals, we're such a tight-knit group that, you know, we can come together and just get those 4 wins we need. And they've got 2 of them.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like a really, really great game to be a part of, whether you were commentating or just watching. But being in the stadium, like being at the venue, sounds like it would have been a real treat. And I'm glad that it was packed out. So did the Sharkies end up taking a busload of people like we suggested last episode?
I think people just drove up. I know some of the NBL1 women's players were at the grounds of Alexandria before the game, which is a very nice place to go. I think the majority of the NBL1 women's team was there, which was good. It was a very, very good crowd. It kind of reminded me of last year's grand final where, because it was all Comets on one side and Sharks on the other, and you'd have one team would score and half the crowd would go up, and then everyone would sit down, and then the other half of the crowd would go up. And this would just, especially when it was like late in the game of that Sutherland Newcastle game last year when they were going basket for basket at the same time, it gave me the same feeling watching the crowd in this one. It was an excellent atmosphere to be a part of.
Almost sounds like an animated crowd, you know, when you see an old cartoon and it's like, oh, I've just got to animate a typical crowd in the background and it's just so uniform where there's one side and the other side alternating the cheering.
Yeah.
And the final headline you've got here for us is that Newcastle beat Bankstown while shooting only 29.5% and committing 20 turnovers. That is unlike Newcastle, especially on their home court.
It is unlike Newcastle, but they still got the win. And, you know, is that kind of the game that they had to scratch out? You know, just their one drop and they still, you know, their one blip and they still got away with it and got the win and they, you know, reconvene and go back to our regular service next week. Because we did say that Bankstown are a pretty good matchup for Newcastle. And I think just talking about it with people on Saturday, because obviously Comet Southern was the last game, was kind of saying that Bankstown are a good matchup, but sometimes the other team's just better. And that might have been the case here. But yeah, 20 turnovers. They did force Bankstown into 24 of their own, but there's some eye-watering shooting numbers here. Interestingly, the only players who actually made a field goal attempt were the 5 starters for Newcastle. That's probably a bigger, red flag than shooting 30% and committing 20 turnovers. Susie Walmsley played 21 minutes, didn't take a shot. Giselle Havas only played 3 minutes. And El Kaluski was the only other player off the bench playing 44 seconds. And, you know, it gets deep in the season. And we know that, you know, rotations get shorter, whether by design or by circumstance. Hopefully, especially Havas, hopefully she's got more minutes in her next week or this coming weekend, because against a Manly team that can throw so many different defensive weapons at you, you need all your options available.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point to make in terms of who was shooting what or who was shooting at all in that team. Because similarly, as we just talked about the importance of the depth of your bench and having your bench prepared for something like finals, a la Sydney Comets men. I mean, if it goes pound for pound with the Newcastle team what happens if there's injuries, early fouls, and they've got to go deep? Do they have that trust in their bench to be able to step up and not just be, to make up the 5 and to add to their very good team defense, but be able to score? Because Munga is absolutely exceptional in this case, where she's putting up high numbers in high pressure situations every season now. 29 and 16 and 7 in this one against Bankstown is outrageous. But something's got to give sometime.
It certainly does. Yeah.
But so Newcastle are always a very gritty club. They're always really tough, and they'll always have that club culture to do whatever it takes to win. So very good that they got it over the line by 11 points. But what a great fight as well, and showing from Bankstown. Probably like one of the teams that need to be more celebrated this season, because I don't think a lot of people had Bankstown picked to be making it this far into the season.
No. And the way they, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the way they, retooled after Davida Dale, I think it was like, a week or two before she was due to get here was when she did the injury. So that made it really tough, and they went out and retooled, and all their players, apart from their big name signings, they're all locals. And I think we tend to underestimate local products in this league, or maybe just in general, in that, you built all these players up, but you don't, they're not the signings from other clubs. And it's like, we look at, a club like Manly, that's all built up just about through their local players. There's very few players there not from Manly in the first place. And it's the same with Bankstown. And I think we need to recognize that, there are plenty of players that don't move clubs that are just as good as the players who do or come from interstate.
Yeah, and also, again, big props to Coach Lauren Curtin as well for doing a great job with that team. Both Bankstown teams this season making it quite far into the finals, and rightly so, I should say, because last season they were both just on the cusp, and I think either missed out or got eliminated first round. So the club should be really proud with what they've put up this season from both men's and women's competition.
Oh, 100%. And, you bring back all these local players. Some of them are still quite young and got plenty of room to improve, even though they're already making big impacts.
Very good. And then since our last episode, NBL1 East has released the MVP top 5s for the men and women's competition, which is different from the All-Star 5, which I don't know why. I don't know. I always thought that the MVP votes were reflected, like the top 5 MVPs were reflected in the All-Star 5. But
that is how I would do it.
That's how, yes. But then I kind of thought, well, what's the difference here? And I think the difference is that, after every round, the coaches and the captain do the 3-2-1 voting for MVP. But All-Star 5, the clubs, I think, actually have to nominate a player in a certain position to be nominated or considered for All-Star 5, and that's why there's a difference. Yes.
So I think it's 3-2-1 for the entire season, captains and coaches. Let's just celebrate players. We can have to, we could discuss the different voting methods, and I do want to discuss one different voting method later, but we'll get into the All-Star 5s first, or the MVP top 5s.
Yes, so the MVP top 5s were announced as follows. We had Todd Blanchfield from Illawarra, Will Mayfield from Canberra, Jason Cadee was just announced as third place in the men's top 5. Fourth place was Hunter Goodrick from Norths, and fifth place was Kawat Noi from Sutherland. So just as the season has, the narrative of the season has always been the two MVPs being between Will Mayfield and Todd Blanchfield. Whew, and Will Mayfield already gone and won Defensive Player of the Year, so big props to him. Can he do the double, Lockie?
I think he can. I was doing some back of the envelope maths, by which I mean I wrote an entire script to download all the player stats for the season. But I think he had more big games that I think would get him the 3 votes more often. I know like Glenn Morrison was in the All-Star 5, but I think the games that would garner votes are probably Will Mayfield would get them on a lot more occasions. And I mean, Kobe McDowell-White was All-Star 5 as well, so he's alongside Blanchfield. So I think Mayfield can do it. I don't know how much being Defensive Player of the Year will factor into the 3-2-1 each week kind of thing. That's kind of the thing that you notice more after a season, like watching someone throughout the season rather than each individual game. But I definitely, he's been my pick for the entire season. But I believe it is down to our 2 picks, Mayfield and Blanchfield.
Literally, yeah. And the only thing that's coming to my mind about splitting these 2 players is that Todd Blanchfield didn't play as many games as Will Mayfield, because Todd Blanchfield had to take some time away to play the Trans-Tasman Throwdown. I was just trying to see how many games he'd missed, but I'm not that fast at counting. But he would have missed at least 2 games. Possibly 3 games. And I think, in any other circumstance, I don't think that 2 to 3 games would have maybe made a difference. But in this circumstance, it definitely can. And I'd love to know the final count if we were privy to that information once it's announced.
Yeah, so I think it's 2 for 2 games missed for Todd Blanchfield, because he's up to 19 now, and that includes 1 finals game. So probably should check. And Mayfield's played all 21, so he played all 20 games. So yeah, that's 6 votes he can go and get that Blanchfield can't, and it might be the difference. Those 2 have both had outstanding seasons.
Yeah, so yeah, if anyone's privy to that information once the final MVP is announced, that can tell us what the difference was between first and second, we'd love to know. Because it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tighter than, a federal election tight.
Although the last federal election wasn't very tight, actually.
It was not. No, it wasn't. And I anticipated it was going to be a lot tighter. So you can imagine my relief when it wasn't. But we won't get too political. But yeah, so as it stands, that is the MVP top 5 for the men. And for the women, the top 5 were Nicole Munger from Newcastle, Taylor Wirtz from Manly Warringah. Caitlin Jones has just been announced as the 3rd place in the MVP race, and she played for Albury Wodonga Bandits. 4th place was Sataya Fagan, because she's just on an absolute sweep this award season. And 5th place was Abby Curtin. Now, I think the only award now that Sataya Fagan needs to be considered for is like finals MVP, if they get there.
Oh, I mean, if COE win it, it's like Dustin Martin winning the Brownlow. If the team wins, she's getting the MVP. Not the Brownlow, the Norm Smith. Justin Martin winning the Norm Smith. I think, Richmond winning a grand final, Dustin Martin was winning the Norm Smith. It's the same with COE in the grand final. I think it's going to be because Fagan will put in an MVP performance.
Yeah, look, I don't know any of the words you just said, so I'll just take your word for it. I know Brownlow, and I know Hawthorn, and I didn't know the rest.
The Norm Smith is the grand final MVP in AFL.
Player of the game in AFL speak. Am I right?
Yeah, in the AFL grand final. Yeah.
Yes, it's I think Fagan would that would be the sweep. What, youth player, defensive player, 4th in MVP, just needs finals MVP just to add another one. But yeah, it's down to Taylor Wirtz and Nicole Munger. Now, Taylor Wirtz for me has also been outstanding, very consistent in our preseason episode. Based on the footage we saw from her overseas stints, we could tell that she was a really, really great scorer and super quick, very tough to guard. Probably had a bit of a slowish start maybe to NBL1 East, but has just stacked it on in the end.
Yeah.
So this one's going to be a close race too. But how do you see this? Who do you see this one falling to?
I think it's going to Munger. She is just about every game, just far and away ahead of most other players on court. She gets a lot of support from other players at Newcastle, but very rarely is there anyone pinching votes off her. Taylor will stack up a lot of votes, but I think Munger's, neither team lost a lot of games, but I think Munger's the kind of player that kind of jags the 2 votes in a loss more often. So she might scoop a few votes even in the few losses that Newcastle have had. But yeah, I can't see it going past. I can't go past Munger. Whether it was the 3-2-1 voting system or any other voting system, I think she's got it. But happy to be proven wrong.
Oh, always. That's almost like our sub slogan. Our slogan is "Don't sleep on the East," and our sub slogan is "Happy to be proven wrong."
Yeah.
Sammy Mack here in the Instagram live chat saying, "Don't sleep on Zara Russell." Absolutely not. She has found her. She's always been in great form, but she's gone up that extra notch after the U19 Women's Basketball World Cup, where she was a really integral part of that Gems team getting as far as they did. Really great role player, knockdown shooter from the arc. So yeah, she's been having some hitting some great form in this finals time too. So definitely not sleeping on Zara Russell.
Definitely not. And thank you for foreshadowing, Sammy Mack, because if you scroll down our notes a bit, you will see her name squint. I thought Sammy Mack was going to be shouting out my noticing my jersey, but anyway.
I don't think you can only see the top, and I was going to make mention of it later in the episode because we also got to make mention of the jersey you've got in the background.
Yeah, that's just a flex.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into the All-Star 5 for the men and women, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to talk about the difference in voting between the two. Do you want to talk about that now or after we announce the All-Star?
I think we'll announce the All-Star because what I want to talk about is All-Star 5 and other award voting. So I think we'll announce the All-Star 5s first or discuss them.
So for the men, it was announced that Jason Kadee, Kobe McDowell-White, Will Mayfield, Todd Blanchfield, and Glenn Morrison all made the All-Star 5 for the men, as I mentioned. Again, coming down not to 3-1 voting, but coming down to nominating a player in particular positions. So even in the order that I read them, you've got your 1 and 2 guards, your 3, your possible 4, and you're certainly 5-man in Glenn Morrison. And for the women's competition, do you want to go through the men first?
No, let's go through the women as well.
Yeah. So women's competition, we have Katie Jones from Albury-Wodonga, Taylor Wirtz, Nicole Munger, Riley Lupfer, and Sataya Fagan. Which, based on what I just said about positions, doesn't look like the women's are really in positions.
Hey, if clubs are allowed to nominate players in positions and they don't vet the positions, game the system all you want. I've seen teams do it in Youth League. I've seen teams do it in Waratah. You got 2 players who are both great in one position. Nominate one as a forward and dare them not to vote for her.
Yeah, this is exactly what I feel like has happened here.
I don't hate it.
No, they're playing within the rules of the voting game.
Yeah.
Don't
100%.
like they say on Bad Boys: don't hate the player, hate the game.
That's right. I could never hate any of these players.
But yeah, like you said, every team has the right to nominate people, and I think it's a pretty strategic way to do it as well, especially if you want to showcase some of your other talent in your team. But yeah, I think that Bryn's pretty unlucky also not to get a spot in that All-Star 5, given her position.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have named Sataya Fagan as quarterback and she would have got votes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And what was it in particular you wanted to touch on with the All-Star 5?
Well, mostly the fact... Well, firstly, I just want to say that I am coming around to this idea of an All-Star 5 being different to the MVP top 5 because it means players like Morrison, McDowell, White, and Lupfer who maybe, get overshadowed in the 3-2-1 voting and won't earn the votes to get All-Star MVP top 5. It gives them a chance to get recognition for their entire season performance. So I do like that about it. What I wanted to talk about was the fact that Kobe McDowell White made All-Star 5, but didn't win Young Player of the Year. Because it seems to me that if you vote for a player to be... I should preface this by saying I don't know if he was Illawarra's nominee for Young Player of the Year. But if you're putting him up as the All-Star 5 guard, you should be nominating him for your young player anyway. So we know Jacob Furphy won Young Player of the Year. Kobe McDowell White gets All-Star 5, but doesn't get Young Player of the Year. Sort of makes me ask, do we need a stipulation that if you vote for a player who's eligible for Young Player of the Year in your All-Star 5 votes, should you be mandated to give them the 3 votes in Young Player of the Year? Because it seems a little weird that you can vote for a guy who's eligible for Young Player of the Year for All-Star, but not vote for him in an award that has a smaller pool of players really to pick for.
And also, like, Furphy and McDowell White are in very similar positions. They're either going to be point guard or shooting guard. And they're both going to be nominated for both Young Player of the Year and All-Star 5 in the same position too. So yeah, how does that work? Work in a sense to give one to the other and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what happens when you can vote for every award independently of each other. And it's the only real vote. It's the only real awards that, one is a subset of the other. You can vote for Defensive Player of the Year and not think they're an All-Star. And, vice versa. But yeah, Young Player of the Year is literally a subset of, So I just think, if you name one young player in your All-Star 5, that player gets the 3 votes. You get 2, then the other one gets 2, and so forth, if you name more than one young player. But, maybe people, I can only imagine that people voted Furphy for Young Player of the Year because you sort of look at McDowell White and you're like, oh, he's already in the NBL, whereas Furphy is the true up-and-coming youngster. Honestly, in all honesty, I prefer an emerging player of the year that a player can only win once. So maybe an under 20, still an age limit, emerging player of the year. Once you win it, then you have emerged, and then you it goes to someone else the next year. Because I think in the A-League women's soccer, Ellie Carpenter won Young Player of the Year like a billion times because she started in the league at 15 and played for the Matildas at 15. So yeah, I like the idea of an emerging player of the year or a breakout young player. And then after that, you can only win it once.
Similar in the WNBL, how they used to have Rookie of the Year and then it become Young Player of the Year and then Youth Player of the Year, and then Ezzy just kept winning it.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they went back to Rookie, and now it's Breakout Player of the Year, and they have Breakout Player and 6 Woman of the Year as well.
That's one thing we haven't had in NBL1 is a 6 woman or a 6 man of the year. I know they do it in West.
They do a lot of things in West. They do Commentator of the Year in West.
Do we just give that award to Matt McQuaid now?
Yes.
The East?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes. That's probably why they don't have it in East, because they know that Matt will just win it every year. But
And it'd
then
be like,
could be
it'd
like Kate Seabom.
or the NBL Efficiency Award, where they stopped handing it out because Andrew Gay's won it 7 years in a row. So they just got rid of the award because no one else won it.
Well, yeah, it can be a commentator of the year can go to Matt McQuaid until he retires, which will be, I don't know, another 15 years, maybe 20 years. Never. And then they can name the award after him, the Matt McQuaid Commentator of the Year Award for NBL1 East.
Once again, we are giving you these ideas for free. For free.
I would say that's probably our tertiary slogan on this show. We've got don't sleep on the East, happy to be proven wrong, and giving this away to you for free. Because we could start our own zeitgeist or lexicon of phrases, Eastcock game specific phrases to use in your everyday conversation.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's a really good point to make about the Youth Player of the Year awards. And again, hopefully something that they will consider, not just in East, but across the conferences. And I think it would be good if the awards could be kind of standardized across conferences as well. Like you said, West give out like and Central as well give out, an award for the person who scored the most points, had the most rebounds. Golden Hands. Would love a Golden Hands awards in the East. That's probably one of my favorites.
Waratah still does Golden Hands.
Oh, aren't we promoting it to the NBL1?
Actually, I don't know if they do anymore because they don't have the full stats, but I know they did it back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they definitely did back in the day, because when I played ABA, which was before Championship League, which was before NBL1, and I was playing in Canberra, then the likes of Kelly Abrams was always up for Golden Hands, because she would, an assassin on defense getting steals, and then could just throw a dime like one of the best shooting guards or small forwards there was. So yeah, she was always up for Golden Hands. Very good. And so hopefully we'll find out who the MVP is maybe next week, or maybe the end of this week, perhaps, given that we are recording on a Tuesday. Maybe I might even quickly check Instagram to see if they've announced who came second while we've been chatting.
I think they've been doing one per day.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Than going to the weekend knowing who the MVPs are.
Mm.
And then the curse will fall upon them. No, I'm only joking. So interesting preliminary finals note. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so all 4 preliminary finals are matchups that only occurred once. So across the two in men, 2 in women, and every time the prelim final is on the same court as that regular season match.
Really?
I'm almost certain. I went and looked it up. Manly, Newcastle. I know Illawarra COE, Canberra Sutherland, and North COE. Yeah.
Wow, that is uncanny. I don't know how did you even pick up on that?
Oh, just when I went and looked back through the results, I was like, oh, this is the same game. Oh, this is the same game. And yeah, Manly, Newcastle. Yeah, 100%.
Wow. Yeah. Wow,
So
that's
cool.
so funny. Yeah, that is cool. That is cool.
Mm.
Well, let's get into the preliminary finals then. Let's also see how many times I'm going to stumble on saying the word preliminary this episode. So the first one is Manly Warringah Seagulls, Newcastle Falcons in the women's competition. Manly finishing first in the regular season, again, minor premiers, and Newcastle third. It's going to be played this Saturday at the Nest from 6:30 p.m. Now, before we get stuck into this preview, why 6:30?
Junior comp has just started at Manly. So it's the first few weeks. They just want to keep everything on the exact same time scale as it was originally scheduled for, because parents and kids need to get there and get in rhythm, so they're just doing everything exactly the same. You can't really up and move junior comp this early in the season without everything getting kind of haywire. So they're playing it at 6:30.
No, I mostly ask as well because we have our semi-finals this weekend in NBL1 North, and Logan are playing Cairns in Logan at 6:30 as well.
Oh.
And I don't think they've played a game at 6:30 all season.
Well, Manly usually play their women at 3 and their men at 5. So
even on a Saturday.
Yep.
Damn.
They're always the early start.
Traditional 5 and 7.
Nope. Most clubs are 5 and 7. Comets aren't.
Oh no, Comets at like 10 p.m. and midnight or something.
Yeah, thanks for the captioning my paid. 5:30 and 7:30. But when you got to get the train home to Cronulla.
Hey, when you have to drive down and play at 8 o'clock on a Saturday and you're in your 30s, I'm sleeping in the car on the way there.
Fair. I rate it.
But then I the last time I did that though, I did drop 20, I think. So it worked for me. Pre-game naps work for some. But yeah, this preliminary final, Manly, Newcastle at Manly, it's going to sell out. It's going to be an absolute riot in there, I'm sure. So to get here, though, Manly defeated Albury Wodonga in the qualifying final and have had the week off. Newcastle lost to Norths in their qualifying final by 10. And they've gone on, as we mentioned earlier, to defeat Bankstown in the semi-final. Regular season, though, all of your usual suspects putting up good numbers. So, MVP candidates in Munga and Wirtz, Dickinson as well, 20 points the last time these two teams played. Is this also a case, Lockie, where these two top teams have only played each other once in the regular season and have now circled back to finals time?
Yes, it is. And I can't believe Manly and Newcastle only played each other once in the regular season. It feels kind of weird. It feels like I want them to play twice every season, but they played once. Yeah. So it finished 95-72 to Manly. And, I mean, Munga almost had a triple-double. 16 points, 15 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals. She was 4 of 14 from the field, 6 of 6 at the line. And I just feel like Manly, like Munga is good enough that she can turn up on Saturday and go back to dropping 30 or 35. But Manly are the one team that can make it really hard for her with the amount of defensive players they can throw at her.
And I think, like going bench for bench, matchup to matchup, if you're matching all 10 to 12 players from each team down the line in a duel, not in a duel, but, in a one-on-one kind of situation, I think Manly have the edge in terms of experience, especially because they've got a lot of young people in that team who have played at this level in this team, especially for a while. And have just got that slightly higher skill level if you're going to go deep.
Yeah. I mean, we already mentioned it that only 5 players even took a shot for Newcastle in their semi-final. Whereas Manly Warringah, you're bringing Annie Henderson, Sari Mowbray, your first 2 off the bench. That alone is massive. And then, I mean, Chloe Dix and Freya Bykirk have under 20 gold medals under their belt from this year. And, I mean, Chloe Dix doesn't get a lot of playing time, but that's just because of how good the Manly team is. You watch her in youth league and she is hooping every weekend.
Is this, according to our schedule, did we end up reviewing this game in the regular season between Manly and Newcastle, or was this the game where we went to review it and it wasn't available?
This is the game that we didn't review, so we reviewed Manly North instead.
That's right. Yes, we were due to review this one but then there's no video online.
Yeah, I was very happy that was the doubleheader that Manly played that weekend. It was a very good bailout, the Manly North game. But yes.
Yeah. Lucky, very lucky for us. Yes. So Dickinson, will likely match up against Jefferson, I'm guessing. But then you've got the likes of Bullman and Henderson. Far out. I am really flipping today. Bullman and Henderson that are able, as we've mentioned before, able to guard 2 to 5, 1 to 5. They're going to be able to keep switching on Munga like we have seen in the past. And I think, like, you know, as much as great as Munga is, for any player, having people switch on you all the time and then having to adjust and readjust all the time, that can chip away at you a little bit mentally.
Yeah, it really can. Fortunately, I think Nicole Munga is probably one of the best equipped players to handle it. But I do think Manly are going to make it very hard for her. And then also there's the problem Newcastle also have is handling Taylor Wirtz.
Yeah, that's true in that terms of a matchup. I was just going to say as well, even though if people are switching on Munga just to try and disrupt her a little bit, she'll probably still be nice enough to compliment the defender and say, hey, man, you're doing a really good job, because she's just that nice.
Fair.
She's like, I really like what you did there. You did a good job. Yeah, she's just that nice. But yeah, you make a good point there. Who from Newcastle is going to try and contain Wirtz, or are we going to see something different from Newcastle away from the man-to-man? Are they going to go into some kind of zone action? Because sometimes Manly in the past have slowed down or been a bit sluggish in the scoring end when it comes to zone.
I seem to remember that was
matchup zone.
Yeah, I seem to remember that was a theme last year. Teams went zone a bit against Manly, especially. I think there was one game where a team almost exclusively played zone. And why not? If I mean, it's certainly an option. And I think teams are often far too reluctant to play zone for extended periods. They'll play zone and be like, all right, well, it almost feels like sometimes they're just like, oh yeah, that's enough of that. We'll drop back into man. This is, it's working okay. But I mean, I've seen teams do it in NBL1 level. Just act like you're that under 12s coach that's completely flouting the rules and just play zone for 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost got a weird stigma attached to it that it's like, it's frowned upon to play zone for long periods of time, even if it's working for you. It's this kind of underlying irritability about it. But I think in terms of the matchup against Wirtz, I think it's going to be Claudia Wahape Andrews' time to shine in that matchup. I think that will be a really, really good matchup.
Yeah, she is an excellent defender, fairly underrated defender as well. But I think, yeah, that's probably going to be the best option, definitely.
And then moving right along to the second preliminary final between North Bears, who place second in the regular season, against the Centre of Excellence, who place fifth. They're playing on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. at the Bear Cave. And again, another team that's only met once in the regular season. Am I right?
Yep.
Crazy. You can't write a better script. So to get to this point in the finals, the North defeated Newcastle in the qualifying final and had the week off. Centre of Excellence took the long road, defeating Canberra in the elimination final, then defeating Albury in what seemed like a hell of a game in the semi-final. And in the regular season, North defeated Centre of Excellence 88-74. But since then, I think there's been a lot of roster changes. Would I be right in saying that, Lockie?
Maybe not a lot, but a very big one insofar as Jolene Anderson played 18 minutes in that game and is obviously no longer on the North roster, unfortunately. But I mean, Sammy Mack, the man knows his stuff. We all know that because Zara Russell dropped 30 the last time these teams played, with Satea Fagan providing support with 23. So those two players combined for 53 points. And I dare say a lot of the supporting crew for COE are much better players now, have developed even in this short period. Talking about Aleknowick, Izzy Smith especially. They've just come on in leaps and bounds. So there's a lot of pieces there that can definitely do damage for COE.
Yeah, what has happened down there in the last couple of months? Did something happen while the others went away for the U19s? Because these rookies of the COE have just come alive in the last couple of months, and they're contributing consistently good numbers.
Maybe that was just it. I mean, some of your big names are away. Maybe you just get a little more personalized focus because there's only 8 or so players actually at the COE. They get to get a little bit more focused, get to work on some things, get a few weeks off from actually playing games, and they're still training a lot and maintaining their fitness because it's basically their job down there. So when they come back, they're refreshed. They don't, they've had a good spell off, but they've been training plenty hard, and maybe that's just what they needed because they talk about it going from, high school to college and college to the NBA, or especially the NBA more than the WNBA, is that the increase in intensity is what gets you. And, you hit, Christmas, New Year in the NBA and you've already played more games than your college season ever was. And maybe it's a bit the same here. They just had 3 or 4 weeks off playing, back into it. The younger ones, absolutely flying.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Like you said, no Jolene Anderson, but we lose to Jolene Anderson and we gain an Izzy Morgan. So hopefully she only got 18 minutes against the Falcons. So there's your missing 18 minutes.
They're missing 18 minutes.
But she was on 4 fouls. So that's probably why her minutes were quite restricted in that game. But yeah, that's I think she's gonna level up. In terms of both preliminary finals, are you willing to make your tips?
May as well. Why not? I'm going a Spitbridge Stoush grand final. Manly Norths. Run it back from 2 years ago.
I agree. It is going. I think that's what how it's going to play out. I think Manly and Norths are going to get the wins, and the rivalry will grow stronger, and the history will keep getting woven.
Beautifully said, Squin.
Oh, look, we just had Manly and Taylor Wirtz jump on an Instagram Live, but I don't think they were there long enough to hear us tip them. Oh, well. Okay, let's move on to the men's prelims. In the first matchup, we've got Illawarra, who were the minor premiers, against the Centre of Excellence, who placed 3rd in the regular season. They're playing on Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Snake Pit, another venue that is just, the roof is just going to be on fire at the Snake Pit.
Oh.
And look, if this cold weather continues all the way to the weekend, Hawks fans are going to be warm and toasty.
Oh, won't they just? I mean, they'll be hanging off the rafters. They'll be hanging over the side of the bar. They've got those upper deck seats that people will be, screaming from. It's quite the place, the old Snake Pit.
Yeah, it's great. It's a place that probably does need a couple of renovations and touch-ups, but at the same time, you don't want it to change.
Correct. They've given it a paint, which is nice, especially when I used to take my camera down there and shooting into dark brown wooden grandstands was not great for the lighting situation. But I'm sure there's other far more qualified people than me to complain about that. But I love going to the Snake Pit, honestly. And they have a dedicated media table there.
Oh, that's very nice. That's classy. That's classy from your Wollongong.
That spare score bench that's right behind where the home team bench sits. You go down there, you say a media accredit, they put you right there. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. Very nice. You don't have to fight with others for a seat.
Exactly.
So to get to the prelims, Illawarra defeated the Comets in a game that was quite anticipated and then perhaps a bit of an anticlimax with a 116-76 win at home. And the Centre of Excellence, again, taking the long road, losing to Canberra in the qualifying finals and then defeating Norse in the semi-final. I'm going to say it again, but did they only meet once this season?
They certainly did.
Oh, geez Louise. They just love making it exciting for us, don't they?
They certainly do.
And it was also a bit of a whitewash, unexpectedly. Illawarra defeating the Centre of Excellence 102-72. Not a game it's not the game that we reviewed, and I don't think I watched any of it at the time. Did you, Lockie?
I don't believe I actually did watch this game, but it was right when I have a feeling it was trying to remember exactly when it was, because silly me didn't write down the date of the game. But regardless, 102-72 is quite a result, quite a it's stamping your mark on the game.
It's a spanking.
It's a spanking.
Yeah, it's you're playing with a big boy spanking.
And well, playing against Illawarra, they got some big boys. It was on June 15th, that game, so it wasn't too long ago. And Illawarra really blew it out in the fourth. They won the fourth quarter 34-15. So the game was only 11-point margin, and then a short-handed COE absolutely put to the sword in the final quarter.
Yeah, to be fair, I know that I was a bit harsh there on the COE for that regular season game. Yeah, the final quarter, Illawarra won 34-15. And the COE in that game didn't have the likes of Furphy and a couple of other scholarship holders who are a bit more experienced, had already graduated by then. And we saw some of the new scholarship holders rolling in. So it was a bit of a transitional time, I think, for the COE as well. Yep. Down on numbers. Blanchfield was in top form, had nearly every stat except for a steal. But yeah, do you see this game going a similar way?
No.
What do you think?
Well, the second name on my notes is that CJ Moran was 7 of 10 from the field, had 18 and 9 last time they played. He's not there because he is playing for Syria at the Asia Cup.
Yeah. Woo.
I mean, Nash Walker had 6 points in that game. Last week, he came out and dropped 33. Is this is he, taking off? Is that, his breakout game? Honestly, I think Illawarra get it done, but it's not going to be silly margin like 30 points again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it will be 30 points. That's for sure. Christian Moran, CJ Moran is big out because he just provides so much rim protection and size and reliability on the offensive end for Illawarra. He's always in the right spot. He's like the real anchor in that half-court offense because he's such a good role player in the 4 to 5 spot. He's going to be really hard to replace.
He really will. They might do it a little bit by committee, but I mean, we've watched a couple of games and they've got some other big bodies they can throw in the paint, but no one that really protects the rim as well as consistently.
Or scores the same way he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's really mobile.
I see this going to Illawarra as well, but I think it's going to be maybe 10 to 12.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, without Moran in the lineup against Comets, Toby Campbell started. He had 10 points and fouled out in 15 minutes. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's not going to be anywhere near as. I mean, I hope it's not anyway. We don't need any more blowouts in the finals.
No, I definitely don't think this is going to be a blowout. Yeah, 10 to 12 I'm picking. And then the last, but definitely not least, preliminary final for this season is the Canberra Gunners, who finished second in the regular season versus the Sutherland Sharks, who finished 8th, and they're playing at 7:30 p.m. this Saturday at Tuggeranong. What? Is it a bigger venue? Is it size? Like, would love to know why it's at Tuggeranong.
I have no idea why it's at Tuggies, but that's what it said on the schedule.
Yeah, my only guess is a clash with juniors, maybe, or maybe that Tuggeranong can hold a bigger crowd than Belconnen.
Well, I mean, Tuggies is hosting nationals, so it must have some sort of size to it. I mean, the first and only time I've been to Tuggies was 11 years ago, so I don't remember.
It's been even longer since I've last been at Tuggeranong, but not too. We'll be returning there not too soon anyway. We'll be there hopefully one day back there at Tuggies.
Yes.
Yeah. So for the 4th time, how many times did these two teams meet in the regular season?
1, which means I didn't get to commentate Canberra this year.
Oh, not even.
They didn't go to Comets and they didn't go to Sutherland.
Rudeness. Rude. Well, the year's not out. You know, there is a chance that you might get to do them at some stage, but you would be having to book the NBL1 East Grand Final to probably book them, and then Gunners also have to book their ticket to the East Final. So that's your chance there that you get to do Canberra.
I'm not banking on it, to be honest, Squid. I'll be happy watching the stream of this one.
And so again, the last time, so Canberra defeated Centre of Excellence in the qualifying final, Sutherland defeating Bankstown in the elimination final, and then Comets in the semi-final last week. The last time these two teams met, it went into overtime, and Canberra defeated Sutherland 104-96. This was with Kawatnoi.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, Sutherland had, I'm pretty sure they were up late. I think they could have won it in regulation. I mean, it went to overtime. Probably both teams could have won it in regulation, but regardless, 104-96 in overtime, and all the big names came to play. Mayfield, 13 of 17 at the line on his way to 22-8. Hutchison, 8 of 13 from the field, 23.7 rebounds. Kawatnoi, 9 of 10 at the line on his way to 19 points. Just guys stepping up. Luke Jamison, Adrian Cabrera, Glenn Morrison, and Emilio Fonwu. It was the big names stepping up, and also those support role players that have been starters, but kind of don't get the same. They don't get the same love. But when you look at a box score, they've regularly got double figures next to their name.
And someone that was missing from that last game was Cam Pender.
That's a big in. He has been, he got Young Player of the Year nominee playing half a season or so, maybe a little bit more, but to even get nominated in the first place. Because that's just not let's get nominated by your club and then finish top 5 in voting for it. That's huge. Someone who had the season he had in terms of length.
Yeah, and he can still get nominated the next 2 to 3 years too.
That's crazy.
Wild.
And I am banking on it. He will. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, he's got to win it. I mean, it would be cool if he could win it back to back.
That would be
He's
cool.
got to knock off one of the COE boys.
Yeah, that's right. That's the biggest issue.
Looking at this game statistically, Canberra were, say, rounding up 35% from the 3-point line. Sutherland were 44% from the 3-point line.
That's an anomaly for the Sharkies.
Yeah. But kind of good for them that they're playing this preliminary final away, but on the same court where they shot that well. I mean, that's always a plus.
Yeah.
Foul count 22-24. Really splitting hairs here statistically between these two teams. But yeah, really surprising. I mean, not surprising in the sense that Sutherland made a run at it late, like they won the fourth quarter 23-17, because that's what they're good at, and even in the longer context of the season. back end of the season. But surprising because the Gunners are usually like really good in the fourth quarter and can lock down. But obviously that showed in that overtime period where they won 11-3.
Exactly. You give up 3 points in an entire overtime. That is really good. I mean, because like you think if you started a quarter with 3 points in 5 minutes, people will be wondering what the hell is going on. So it's the same in overtime.
Oh, and I just think of like, particularly the men's competition playing at that slightly higher level of pace. I could say slightly, but the high level of pace and the physicality purely because they're just bigger bodies. Like someone's got to be bringing the pickle juice on Saturday in case this is going to OT again. Because strength and conditioning will only get you so far. You're going to need some. Load up on the electrolytes now. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be really exciting too. Are you going to head down to watch that one?
Absolutely not, because I have work the next morning.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah.
So you watch it in the comfort of your own home again?
If I might be at a game and, sneaking a look on my phone.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because, I mean, the women's games were at Manly and Norths, and even Illawarra isn't the biggest trek for me living in the Shire. So I've got plenty of options. For a lot of games that aren't really near me, I have a lot of options.
Yeah, that's very lucky. Very lucky to have that opportunity. Okay, so who are you picking out of this one? You're going to go Sharkies?
Coming from the bottom half of the 8 to make the grand final once again, the Sutherland Sharks.
Started from the bottom, now they're here.
That's right.
So I'm going to pick the Gunners. I'm going Illawarra Gunners final classic.
Oh, a Macquarie pass clash.
Oh my gosh, that's. I was just happy with team minor premiers versus team second. The classic 1-2 clash.
That is also a very, very good thing.
All right, so we're both picking the Manly North final. You're picking an Illawarra Sutherland men's final. I'm picking an Illawarra Canberra final. Happy to be wrong, but very excited to be getting ready for another big weekend in NBL1 East.
It's going to be absolutely massive. Get around it.
Have you got any other NBL1 East related news or gossip to share with us before we wrap up?
No, I don't. Everything's focused so much on the finals, and it's great. Yeah.
Actually, the one thing I will give a shout out is, again, to our friends James and Garen from 2 Feet Into Paint. They have posted their own unofficial end of year season awards on their Instagram. And podcast of the year among 6 of our peers out there was East Got Game.
Yes. There we go. East Got Game.
I know it's not ranked, but we are at the top. We are at the top left.
Top left. Top left.
I'm going to take that as our own personal championship. There, Lockie.
There we go. Cheers, boys.
But yeah, thanks so much for the shout out, James and Garen. And they're always very supportive of East Got Game. We're really glad that it's helpful somehow for you guys and obviously for everyone else. They've also got the unofficial East Awards for videographers and photographers. It's a lot of familiar names in both of those lists. I recommend you go to the 2 Feet in the Paint Instagram, check out those slides, and mostly so you can see who the videographers and photographers are. Get their Instagram handle and go give them a follow because they're all really, really outstanding.
They certainly are. Yes. Some of the best content creators around the country are right here in the East.
Seriously. We sometimes don't know how good we've got it with that type of media. The only other random thing I'll mention is that Tyrese Proctor, who is an East product, even though he hasn't played in NBL1 East, there's a really cool article that's been released today on either The Age or the Sydney Morning Herald by our friend Roy Ward about Tyrese and his last couple of years at college. and he's looking forward to his season with the Cavs. So go ahead and check that out too.
And I will say he did play NBL1 wild card for COE that season against Sutherland.
So that you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. And a reminder, do you want to remind everyone actually when the NBL1 East Grand Finals are on?
The NBL1 East Grand Finals, Penrith Valley Regional Sports Centre, Saturday, August 16th. Women's game tips at 2 p.m. Men's game after all the presentations are done for the women's game.
Yeah, men's game after that.
Yeah.
And remember, the East have the honour of hosting the NBL1 Nationals in Canberra. That's going to be, I guess, like the curtain raiser for the NBL Blitz tournament. That's also going to be in Canberra. So all of you East heads, let's get down to Nationals, get down to Canberra, make some noise and show why NBL1 East is so great. It's going to be from Friday, the 29th of August to Sunday, the 31st of August. Games do start the Friday. So take an extra day off work. Treat yourself. Come down to Canberra. I shouldn't say come down to Canberra. I'm not there. Let's go. Let's go down to Canberra. We'll all go to Canberra. We'll, survey the best coffee places, the best pastry places, etc. that Canberra have to offer. And I'm not joking because Canberra's, culinary scene has definitely been coming up in the last few years. Let's just show up East. Nationals is great. It's got a good vibe. I think it's going to be a good time. So let's all get down there and support it.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm considering going too, actually. So I should probably book my flights and stuff soon.
Yeah. Well, I'll book the Murray's bus.
Mate, I've got them on speed dial. I've booked that bus so many times. Alrighty, well, it looks like that should be the end of our show because we're just getting a little bit silly.
We are.
But once on a serious note, what should we leave the viewers and the listeners with, Lockie?
Just don't sleep on the East.